deserved it. Just an all-round poor performance, worrying performance. I saw an interview with Matt Doherty after the game. They said they prepared well. They got everything they needed, everything the management did, everything they could. He said they had a 10-day training camp in Turkey to get to acclimatise to the heat. There was a few thunderspouts before the game, and so the game was actually under risk, maybe 2 or 3 hours before the game, but it dried out fairly well in Greece, and the game went ahead, and there was no issue with the pitch from what I saw. And just a very poor performance to in the first 10 minutes. I think Greece had 5 or 6 corners. They were camped in our half. We couldn't get out. We had no out ball. We had nothing. They just totally overran us in the first 10, 15 minutes, and they had a shout of a penalty when Bazuna came out, but that wasn't a penalty at all. He got the ball before he got the man, but literally about 5 or 10 seconds later, a cross came in and hit O'Dowda in the hand. You're going to get a penalty against you there for that. If your hand is raised up any high at all, and the ball hits it, it's going to be a penalty. So we got a penalty, good penalty down the middle, and well deserved at the time. We fought ourselves back into the game. We got a corner, good delivery from Smallbone, good flick on from Ferguson and Collins at the back post. Got it in. Thankfully for VAR, was given offside initially, but he was onside when the review went on. We didn't break 1-1, and we were thinking, now don't give way and silly now in the second half. Just keep it tight, because Greece, anytime Greece went on an attack, they seemed like they could open us up. They got through our midfield way too easily for most of the game, particularly in the first half. Gave away such a sloppy goal in the second half. It was crazy how easy it was. I think Mikey Johnson and Dowda, they tried to close the I forget the Greece player that they tried to close him down. He played a nutmeg, and then there was acres of space behind O'Dowda and Mikey Johnson to Darren Lennon or Nathan Collins. It was like you could drive a tractor through it. It was crazy the amount of space. It was crazy the amount of space they were allowed in, and just curls it in. I think one of the Irish defenders tried to hook it off the line, but went in off him anyway. But it was going in anyway. But it was 2-1, and Collins had a chance near the end, and Doherty had a chance literally in the 91st minute, but it ended up 2-1, and of course Doherty got himself sent off into the bad night. But tactically, I think even fitness-wise, they looked leggy. It was an all-around bad night. It was it was a sad night for Irish football, Paul, because that's the second campaign now we've had the World Cup qualifiers where we lost to Serbia, lost to Luxembourg in our first 2 games, and now we've lost to France, and now we've lost to Greece in the first 2 games this campaign. So we're looking on probably playoffs hopes already, Paul, because we won't get. No, most people would accept we weren't going to finish in the top 2 in this group, but at least we wanted to give ourselves a chance, get ahead of Greece at least, finish third. Then hopefully other results will go our way and we'll sneak into the playoffs that way. Because third place doesn't guarantee you a playoff anymore. It's on your Nations League performance, and Ireland have a chance to get into the playoffs that way. But on the showing that we saw on Friday night, even if we do get playoff, we wouldn't deserve it based on the performance we've shown. We need to improve big time before the France game comes on. I know we've Gibraltar tonight, we have France and the Dutch in September, and if we even dare perform anything like that, we'll get hammered.
Yeah. No, and I suppose going back to it again, and maybe in our show last week, maybe we were slightly guilty of it too. But in the bigger, all the analysis and the pundits and the various podcasts, did we completely underestimate Greece? And maybe we are slightly accused of that. Greece were at home. They have quite a good record. I did state last year that the Greek league is strong. The big clubs, Olympiacos, Panathinaikos, they have a lot of their players playing abroad. There are a few of them actually playing in England. Now, they wouldn't be in the top leagues, but there would be across England, Germany, Italy, to be down in the second division, or whatever it's called. You know what? So they have players with this European experience. They have a very good home record. We spoke about the weather and the heat, and also the home crowd, very passionate home crowd. It was obvious to me in the first 10 minutes, 15 minutes, they were going to throw the kitchen sink at us. You know what I mean? So maybe did we all underestimate Greece a small bit? They were at home. They were under pressure too. Their manager, Gus Poyet, was coming under a small bit of pressure to get a big result. They would have been eyeing up this game to beat Ireland at home. So are we slightly underestimating Greece?
I think maybe we did, because I said last week, because I'll take any win at all, any 1-0. I think it was going to be tight. I did highlight the concerns that we've all had, is that a lot of Irish players aren't playing first team football. If they're playing at all, they're playing corners and subs. Matt Doherty, for example, who got sent off, I think he's only played 2 substitution appearances for Atletico Madrid. Kevin Mazzou, the 3 goalkeepers we have are on the bench. So there was worries from our own point of view, but I felt after maybe there's no consistency, sadly, with this team under Kenny. We put in a very good performance against France. France is the team that got to the World Cup final and lost only on penalties. We were previous champions in 2018. We put in a very good performance, and I thought, now we can build on this. Now, the main aim I felt after that game against France is win against Greece, win against Gibraltar, get 6 points on the board, and no more excuses. We just have to. The standards were risen that night. Now, I know we didn't get a point in the game. The magnificent save by Mania in the end to deny Collins.
Yeah, but that game was at home, Noel. Again, I'm not trying to contradict you, but that game was at home. We were away in Greece in Athens. Athens is a hotbed, literally, with the weather. The crowd are really passionate, we know, but that Greek crowd they're very passionate.
Yeah.
Greece were at home. The good was their head too, and their manager and their players. So again,
I totally accept that. But what I felt is that Irish team performed. We obviously performed well against the big teams, Paul. We drew home and away. We drew at home to Portugal, drew at home to Serbia. We put our really good battle up against Portugal. We 1-0 up inside the 90 minutes, and then Ronaldo got to. So what I felt is, against better players, for some bloody reason, we can turn up and perform really well. But against less known likes, I'm not saying Greece, we're not anything better than Greece. We're already, I think Greece and Ireland in the rankings are similar enough.
Yeah, they're much the same. Yeah,
they're much the same, and they were at home. Yes, I totally accept that. But what I felt is the gap in quality between the two sides was way too big for my liking.
Yeah,
and it should be a lot closer.
Yeah, but again, Noel, and again, if there's something that we're going forward, maybe we should discuss in another podcast. The majority of the Irish players are based in England. I know a couple of the Greek players are based in England too. He's one of them with Hull, I think. But there's a lot of the Greek players are around Europe. Obviously not in the top leagues, not in the top teams, but they're playing across Europe. Is that a team that they came and played during the hot weather? Their ball control seems to be a lot better than what the Irish players are.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, Paul, over the decades, that's been an issue for Irish teams. Control. I think since the McCarthy team would that qualified for the World Cup in 2002, we've struggled. Like we've. If you look at that team that qualified for the World Cup in 2002, we had all the players were basically based in the Premier League. They were playing. Roy Keane,
Yeah, but all the top teams.
All the top. All the top teams, and even the teams that were on the lower, like Kinsler with Charlton and Matt Holland, I think would play for Charlton.
They were regulars.
They were regulars. McAteer, Sunderland. They were getting Premier League experience, and they were starting. Nearly all them players were starting Premier League matches. Now, it's the quality has dropped off over the last 20 years. Is frightening, really. I mean, if you look at our squad there, I mean, Liam Brady said it there right now. This is the worst group of players he's seen in his lifetime.
Ooh, I didn't hear that. That was a fairly strong words from Liam. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Well, I think he said, like, in midfield in particular, he said on Friday night that he picked out one good pass from midfield. He said, I think the interviewer Darren Maloney asked, is it the formation, or he just said, I just don't think they're good enough.
Yeah. Now, in fairness to Noel, just for some of our younger listeners, Liam Brady, of course, way back in the day before the television, he was a side in Juventus. He was with Inter Milan, with Arsenal before that. He will go down as one of the top midfield players across Europe, would be recognised. So, in fairness,
he knows what he's talking about midfield. He knows what he's talking about when it comes to midfield, and he totally accepts that the players are putting in huge effort. They want to play for their country and stuff like that, but when you look at the group of players that we have that Stephen Kenny has to his disposal, Mick McCarthy had better players, Brian Kerr had better players, Steve Staunton had better players, O'Neill had better players, and McCarthy, even his second spell, a few have retired since, have had better players as well. So you could say that's lack of investment from maybe the FAI, mismanagement. 4 years ago, the FAI could have gone out of business. It was still in massive debt. We can't get a shirt sponsor for the men's team. The women's team is flying it. They have a shirt sponsor to go to the World Cup. So if we compare the two, the men's team is you could say going nowhere, but you would hope that they'd be able to pick it up. But on Friday night, I felt we gave so much space to the wings with Greece. They were attacking Tsimikas, who plays for Liverpool. He could have had the freedom of Greece there Friday night. He causes unbelievable amount of trouble. many said that the midfield was Smallbone, Malumbi, and Cullen didn't get a kick. The formation, you could say, will we better go on 4-3-3 because 3 at the back? A lot of people don't like it. Personally, I think it's a lot of teams are playing it now, but I think you have to have the players to play that formation. Maybe a solid back four is probably the best way to go, and then 3 midfield, and then maybe 3 attackers with 1 maybe tuck back more towards midfield. Adamida started, and I'm not having to go at Adamida, but I've never been really convinced by him. I thought maybe one with Femi might have been a better option, or getting Mikey Johnson on maybe from the start. He got taken off at half time. He's only scored like 2 goals in the championship. He's been injured as well. They were saying maybe Darrell Shea should have started. I don't know. I think Darrell Lennon did okay. I think Darrell Shea hasn't played many matches since he got injured. He's back in the squad now for Ireland. I don't know really. I think Stephen has talked a lot of the players up, and they haven't been able to repay him really. And you could say formation wise, maybe I think a lot of people were saying is maybe we should had some sort of game before this, because I think if we had the Gibraltar game first and then the game against Greece after would have suited us better. But you can't pick and choose your draw. You have to take what you get. But we looked so leggy. We looked so.
Can I come back to you? Sorry, I've got to cross you. Like, we got a poor start. Greece were all over us. They got the goal.
Yeah.
Now, we got a goal before half-time. There was 1-1 at half-time. I was at half-time. I was saying to myself, you know what? We're not in a bad position here. We were out
totally.
most of the first half. We got a goal back, which was a sign of a good spirit of a team that are playing. They didn't hang their head. So at half-time, I won't say I was over happy, but I was fairly content with it. Well, this game was at least we'll try and get a draw out of it. But as you said, in the second half, then again, we seemed to completely. We started very poor again and conceded the goal. The winning goal as was very early in the second half.
Yeah, we did, Paul. I was happy enough considering the performance we had. We were lucky to be 1-1, but I was happy that we were 1-1 because I felt if we were 2-0 down, Paul, I couldn't see us coming anywhere near back in the game. But the fact is, we went in at the break 1-1, regroup, maybe change the formation, and to be fair, after the goal, I think even Stephen Kennedy said himself that Greece sort of fell a little back, that they were content on maybe hitting us on the counter attack, because I think personally Greece were saying, right, Ireland, you can have the ball. We'll see what you can do with it.
Yeah.
And because any bit of pressure they put on us, we kept giving us away.
Yeah.
I mean, sloppy passes, misplaced passes. It was just
sorry. Go back to
really
the goal.
sad to watch.
Sorry. Going back to the goal Greece got just after half time. There's an old saying in all sports, and I don't care what code you are.
Yeah.
10 minutes after half time, they're known as the championship minutes. Because often what happens, and I don't care what field sport you're talking about, a team, if we're not tuned in when you come out of the dressing room at half time, and I've seen it happen, players can just switch off, and next in the first 10 minutes, you're a goal down or you're a scores down, and you're up against it. So is that another kind of a mental weakness or a psychological weakness in the players? Or maybe we don't have the leaders inside in the dressing room. But that's the time to really rally the troops and say, right, we've got to be on the ball. We can't give them another quick start. But that's what happened. The second half stopped and we were very sloppy, and Greece got the goal to go ahead, which ultimately proved the winner.
Yeah, I'd say there is something there, Paul, because I think there's some stat going around that some of the games that we've come in at half time, maybe level, we've given away the lead again inside 10 minutes. So something like 4 games where we'll come out after half time and give away an early goal, and that can't be allowed to happen anymore. Also, long range shots. The amount of goals we've conceded from long range has been comical, really. In particular Azerbaijan. There was other games as well. We need to close people down a bit more. And there was even a shot in the first half where I thought Malumpi could and should have got out a little bit earlier, but he didn't. But lucky enough now, Bazunu saved it. And Bazunu kept us in the game at the first half. We had very good saves. He got man of the match. And it's not a good sign of a team when your goalkeeper's man of the match and you're still losing.
No, so, that's an old one.
But so it was just really frustrating to watch. We could have nicked it, Paul, to be fair. Collins had a great shot in the second half, and if Matt Doherty had a bit more power in the shot, I think it was his left foot, he hit it. It just needed to be in the corner. Now, I have watched Irish teams play, maybe not as bad as that, but maybe less so as bad as that. We'll get out of jail with a 2-2 draw, 1-1 draw.
Yeah.
The the reason why those performances aren't remembered is because you got some,
Yeah.
you got a result out of it.
Yeah.
Now, because this team has lost, this result is going to be remembered a lot for that more, and it's a loss. But I have seen